Hey guys, what's going on? So I have my 2020 NFL mock draft 1.0 right here. I'm going to do it in this video. I don't know if there's going to be a 2.0 to be honest. This mock draft took me so long and I don't know why it was so much harder to do than previous years. I guess I was just second guessing myself a lot. I was like, well, you know, this is a need for this team, but like this player, it's kind of reached at this position. So should I go with this guy? Well, it's not necessarily the biggest need, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, so that's why it took me so long. So hopefully this mock draft is okay. I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible without leaving off any information because I understand short attention spans. I have a short attention span and mock drafts, they could take a while to go through. So hopefully I can go through this quick and concise and you don't feel the need to fast forward. So with that being said, let me stop talking and get into the mock draft. So with the first overall pick in the draft, I have the Bengals selecting Joe Burrow, quarterback, LSU. I mean, enough said there, right? We don't need to go in depth with this. We all know this is going to happen. With the second overall pick in the draft, I have the Redskins selecting Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State. You know, there's been some talk of maybe the Redskins could draft Tua Tagovailoa, but honestly, I think that's a huge risk. Chase Young is the #1 player in this draft, the best player in this draft. Joe Burrow's going to go #1 because, you know, quarterbacks needed in Cincinnati, but Chase Young could be a Hall of Famer easily, and it's a risk not to take him. He's going to make an impact. The first snap this guy plays, he's going to make an impact, so that's why I have the Redskins selecting him. With the third pick, I have a trade. Trade alert, blah, blah, blah. I have the Dolphins trading up to the Lions spot because the Lions right now hold the third overall pick. And this trade has been done in a lot of mock drafts, but here's the plot twist. I have the Dolphins selecting a quarterback, but I have them selecting Justin Herbert out of Oregon, and this is why. So a few weeks ago, I read that the Dolphins, they weren't just zoned in on Tua, they were open to both Tua and Justin Herbert. Then, more recently, I read a report from Matt Miller and he said the following, quote, "I'm told by multiple league sources that the Dolphins aren't convinced Tua is the best option and could instead target Oregon's Justin Herbert. The situation is fluid, but the buzz around the league is that Herbert has the most fans in the Dolphins draft room," end quote. Matt Miller, he also reported that Tua's injuries could be a concern for teams in the league, and obviously with everything going on right now and no in-person pre-draft visits, that's not great for Tua. That doesn't help him out at all. So with the third overall pick, I have the Dolphins playing it safe and going with Justin Herbert. With the fourth pick in the draft, I have the Giants selecting Isaiah Simmons, linebacker, Clemson. I did an in-depth video on who the Giants should draft, so if you guys want to go check that out. But in this mock draft, I have them drafting Isaiah Simmons because I have them going with the best player on the board, and that defense has been so bad for the past 2 years. He provides an instant upgrade. With the fifth pick in the draft that the Lions now hold, I have them taking Jeff OKUDAH, cornerback, Ohio State. Slay's departure means they need a new corner one, and OKUDAH could be that guy. With the sixth overall pick in the draft, I have the Chargers selecting Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama. So I'm not sure if the Chargers will draft a quarterback, but if Tua falls to 6, I think the Chargers will draft him. I don't know, it doesn't seem like they're going to sign Cam Newton, at least right now, and I think, you know, if Tua is there at 6, they gotta draft him. With the seventh pick in the draft, I have the Panthers selecting Derrick Brown, defensive lineman from Auburn. Panthers defense, it lost a bunch of important players so far this offseason. Luke Kuechly retired. James Bradbury signed with the Giants. They go the best defensive player on the board right here and draft Derrick Brown. With the eighth pick in the draft, I have the Cardinals selecting Tristan Wirfs, offensive lineman from Iowa. I'm honestly surprised this is where I have the first offensive lineman going because the top guys in this class that are offensive linemen are really good. But protecting Kyler Murray, it's got to be the #1 thing on the Cardinals' mind during this draft. Their offensive line was not good last year. It was really bad. Tristan Wirfs, he's an athletic offensive lineman. I think he would fit well in that offense. With the ninth pick in the draft, I have the Jaguars selecting MEKHI, BECTON, offensive lineman, Louisville. Another big, fast offensive lineman that the Jaguars just can't pass up on. Yes, their defense lost a bunch of key players this offseason, and you know, they could go corner here, they could go some defensive player here, but I think they can't pass up on an elite offensive lineman like this. With the 10th pick in the draft, I have the Browns selecting JEDRICK, offensive lineman, Alabama. And I know, with all the great wide receivers still on the board at this point, I feel like Cleveland might be like, let me go for the flashy pick here, the flashy move here. But no, Cleveland, you did that last offseason and it didn't work. Baker didn't play well last year, so you gotta help him out. And how are you gonna help him out? By drafting an offensive lineman. You know, let him not feel as much pressure and make him feel safe back there. So Browns, they gotta go offensive line. With the 11th pick in the draft, I have the Jets selecting Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama. The Jets' former #1 wide receiver, Robbie Anderson, has left in free agency. So Sam Darnold, he needs that true #1 wideout, and Jerry Jeudy could be that from day one. With the 12th pick in the draft, I have the Raiders selecting CeeDee Lamb, a wide receiver from Oklahoma. So I had Tim's hot takes on here last week, and he said he had been doing some reading, and from what he had heard, the Raiders really want Lamb, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to give him Lamb. With the 13th pick in the draft, I have the 49ers selecting Henry Ruggs, wide receiver from Alabama. Manuel Sanders, he left in free agency. Ruggs and Deebo Samuel, I mean, that's a pretty good wide receiver duo. With the 14th pick in the draft, I have the Buccaneers selecting Andrew Thomas, offensive lineman from Georgia. Tom Brady, he's obviously not young. He shouldn't be getting sacked. Andrew Thomas can help keep him upright in the pocket, and it's no secret the Buccaneers are going to be doing everything they can to make sure Tom Brady can play to the best of his ability, which includes giving him the best offensive line they can. With the 15th pick in the draft, I have the Broncos selecting CJ Henderson, quarterback from Florida. Chris Harris Jr., he's a guy who left in free agency, so there's a hole at cornerback, and I think CJ Henderson can come in and fill that. With the 16th pick in the draft, I have the Falcons selecting Javon Kinlaw, defensive lineman from South Carolina. What I've read about Kinlaw is he's a huge guy and he's super strong. You know, the Falcons, they could go edge rusher here, but I just think Kinlaw is the best player on the board for them at this spot. With the 17th pick in the draft, I have the Cowboys selecting KLAVON CHAISSON, defensive end from LSU. Robert Quinn, he left in free agency, so the Cowboys need someone to get after the quarterback, and he can definitely do that. With the 18th pick in the draft, I have the Dolphins selecting Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from LSU. And yeah, wide receiver, it might not be the Dolphins' biggest need, but when you draft a rookie QB, why not draft a rookie wide receiver and see if they can develop some great chemistry that lasts like a long time, like their career lengths. Justin Jefferson was such a beast at LSU, and I honestly think he could be one of the best wide receivers or the best wide receiver in this class when it's all said and done. So Devontae Parker had a great season last year, a breakout season, showed he could be wide receiver 1. But both of those guys on the same team, I mean, that could be a crazy offense. Oh, also, if you're wondering why the Lions don't have this pick, because in my little mock draft, I have that trade for the 3rd overall pick, being that the Lions get both of Miami's 2nd round picks from this year and next year's 1st round pick. So yeah. With the 19th pick in the draft, I have the Raiders selecting Xavier McKinney, safety from Alabama. The Raiders secondary needs help. They tried to sign Eli Apple this offseason. The deal fell through. They could have taken a corner here, but I just felt Xavier McKinney was the best player on the board, and he can definitely help that secondary. With the 20th pick, I had the Jaguars selecting Patrick Queen, linebacker from LSU. Cornerback, obviously a huge need down in Jacksonville, but Queen, I think, is the best player on the board at this spot. He's so young, and he could be so good. He could really be the best player on that Jaguars defense in a few years, so I think they go with him there. With the 21st pick in the draft, I have the Eagles selecting T. Higgins, wide receiver from Clemson. The Eagles, they need a wide receiver bad. They need more than one wide receiver. T. Higgins, he's the best wideout on the board at this point, so that's why I have the Eagles taking him. With the 22nd pick in the draft, I have the Vikings selecting Christian Fulton, quarterback from LSU. Minnesota, they released Rhodes this offseason, obviously, so they need help in the secondary, especially at that corner position, so that's why I went with Fulton in this spot. With the 23rd pick in the draft, I have the Patriots selecting Jordan Love, quarterback from Utah. Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham are the QBs on the roster right now. And if they draft Love, I'm not even sure he would start this year. I think if they do take him, they really want to develop him and not rush him. But I don't know, maybe second half of the year he could start. But I could see the Pats definitely taking a quarterback this year. With the 24th pick in the draft, I had the Saints taking Trevon Diggs, cornerback, Alabama. Diggs, he's super athletic, but might need some time to develop. The Saints need to give that secondary a boost, so that's why I have them drafting a cornerback. With the 25th pick in the draft, I have the Vikings selecting Denzel Mims, wide receiver from Baylor. Vikings obviously traded Stephon Diggs away, so they could use another wideout, and I think Mims would complement Thielen really nicely. Tim's hot takes when he was on here, he said Mims is one of the biggest sleepers in this draft. With the 26th pick in the draft, I have the Dolphins selecting Josh Jones, offensive lineman from Houston, because you gotta protect the rookie QB. With the 27th pick in the draft, I have the Seahawks selecting AJ Epinesa, edge rusher from Iowa. Clowney returning, it's a big question mark, a really big question mark. So I have Seattle adding another player to their defensive front who can get to the other team's QB. With the 28th pick in the draft, I have the Ravens selecting Kenneth Murray, linebacker from Oklahoma. I'm surprised I had him fall this far, to be honest, and if he does fall this far in the real draft, the Ravens, I think they automatically have to take him. He fills a need for them, and he's a super versatile linebacker that can play all over the field and make plays all over the field. With the 29th pick in the draft, I have the Titans selecting Austin Jackson, offensive lineman from USC. Jack Conklin, he departed in free agency, so selecting an offensive lineman gives them some depth at that position. With the 30th pick in the draft, I had the Packers selecting Zach Bond, linebacker from Wisconsin. They lost 2 linebackers just to the Giants this year in free agency. But from what I've read about Bond, he's probably going to be more of an off-ball linebacker in the NFL because of his size, but I still think this is a good pick. With the 31st pick in the draft, I had the 49ers selecting A.J. Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. Corner is a need for the 49ers. I mean, every other part of that defense is so good, but this is an area that could be addressed. And with the last and final pick in the first round, with the 32nd overall pick, I had the Chiefs selecting Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end from Penn State. There are some question marks on the Chiefs' defensive line, not huge ones, but you know, are they going to sign Chris Jones to a long-term deal? They have Frank Clark, but why not add another player that can rush the passer? Because I think at 32, Gross-Matos is a really good pick. Alright guys, that's all I got for this video. Make sure you drop a like, comment down below, let me know what you think of my mock draft. Is there anything you would change? Yeah, there's definitely going to be things you would change because we all don't think exactly the same. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. Peace out.